How many of you think your health is suffering or might be suffering because of working there?
I do.
Every single one of you?
Yes.
All 5 of these men worked at the Puget Sound Naval Shipyard in Bremerton in a plant that treats poisonous water. And all 5 report having memory loss, tooth decay, and a host of other issues.
So I have a lung condition.
I've lost almost 70% of my stomach.
I was diagnosed with reactive airway disease.
I had prostate cancer.
My memory's been affected.
My lungs feel heavy, like I got pneumonia or something. And I was in great health before working there.
At the shipyard, employees overhaul and mothball aircraft carriers and subs, and that creates nasty byproducts like chlorine, heavy metals, and cyanide. But a King 5 investigation has found the plant built to treat those hazards was itself hazardous. Overflowing tanks, leaking pipes, and chronically broken safety systems put workers in harm's way. And those same workers say when they went up the chain to complain, they weren't taken seriously.
I had asked repeatedly to supervision, and they just kept saying, don't worry about it, things are safe. They didn't do anything.
The shipyard wouldn't do an interview with King 5, but told us the plant is and always has been safe. But we've obtained documents showing their own experts don't think that's true.
And there's a lot more to the story. We found shipyard managers gave misinformation not only to us, but to OSHA when federal investigators came knocking. Who is angry about the way they responded to OSHA?
I'm pissed.
OSHA showed up 7 years after the plant opened, April of 2013. They'd gotten wind of Navy testing that month with startling results. Toxic chlorine gas measured so high, employees had to evacuate the building 5 times in 5 days. At one point, they found chlorine levels 9 times higher than what can kill you. Workers on site said the testers were shocked, but they weren't.
I tried to tell them, I was like, this happens all the time.
Mike Hesacker, the top safety boss at the shipyard at the time, told OSHA investigators something very different, that the April 2013 results were a fluke, writing he was confident employees hadn't been exposed to unsafe chlorine gas levels ever before. On top of that, he wrote workers would have a severe physical reaction to high levels of chlorine, and that hadn't happened either.
Was this misleading?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Worse than misleading?
Absolute lies.
Outright lies.
Did managers forget about this report from the year before? The plant had to be evacuated after a worker had his breath taken away, and firefighters found high airborne chlorine levels. Or how about this one from 2012? Chemical overexposure to multiple personnel, 6 people with severe symptoms such as shortness of breath and dizziness, burning in the eyes and throat, and coughing up fluid from lungs that lasted for 3 days.
I took 3 steps towards him. I couldn't even breathe.
Or Derek Freeman's well-documented case in March of 2012. He and a supervisor treating cyanide had to sprint out of the plant, gasping for air. Chlorine gas was measured at 3 times what's considered immediately dangerous to life or health.
Damn right it's insulting to me. You know, them lying about something that's affecting my health and is possibly shortening their lives. Damn right.
The Navy had more for OSHA to prove their plant was safe. They wrote annual testing gave the place a clean bill of health.
No.
But 2 former supervisors, including Kevin Albert, tell us thorough tests hadn't taken place for 6 years.
Did you ever see thorough testing being done by these experts?
No.
Did
never.
not happen.
Instead, records we've obtained show reviewers came in and rubber stamped the plant as A-OK. A 2012 survey makes it clear the tester wasn't looking closely, if at all.
Never even looked in the plant.
The analyst wrote employees wouldn't be exposed to poisons because of their closed system, meaning massive holding tanks were closed off with lids, keeping workers safe. But guess what? There weren't any lids. The original design called for them, but we found the lids were never installed. How did the tester miss that? Hazards like cyanide water sat in wide open tanks for 7 years, with vapors easily able to escape.
What's your reaction to that?
It just pisses me off. They lie through their teeth to try to make it sound like they were doing their job when they didn't do what they were supposed to do from day one.
Most upsetting to the group, the Navy statements to OSHA and King 5 about their health. that there's no evidence the plants made anyone sick. But stacks of medical records show otherwise. Last year, Tim Combs lost 100 pounds and nearly died from gastric ulcer disease, what his doctors say was caused or made worse by exposures to lethal chemicals at the Puget Sound Naval Shipyard.
I'm sick, Kevin's sick. We all got a future of looking down the road of being sick. Sicker.
Come on down. Stick your head in the tank. I'll make you a believer. That'll make you a believer. You won't be able to forget.
Of course, we asked the Navy about this, and they tell us they did not lie, misrepresent, or omit information when communicating with OSHA. As for the plant right now, it's a whole different story. The Navy has put $2 million worth of upgrades into it, so there are no more leaking tanks or faulty alarms. The lids are on now, and so workers now feel safe. But you know, that doesn't do much for the people that were there for all those years when it wasn't safe.
And they're still feeling symptoms. It's obvious. They're coughing while they're talking to you.
Yes, and they're pursuing claims and trying to get the help that they need, and that will be the focus of our next story, actually.
Can't wait to see where this goes. All right, Susannah.